So welcome to this week's edition of the Retail Risk Podcast, sponsored by Alltag. And thanks as always to our supporting partners, Aura, Cotton Associates and Harrison Retail. Now my guest this week is Sophie Jordan. Now Sophie is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Association of Business Crime Partnerships, NABCP. Now she leads the NABCP, championing the vital role of BCRPs, and we'll explain those in a moment, across towns and cities within the UK. She advocates for greater recognition of the wide-ranging and complex remit in tackling business crime and enhancing community safety. Now, providing strategic guidance and operational support for BCRPs and bid crime managers, Sophie shares best practice policy framework and sector insights to strengthen local delivery. She also crucially represents the views of the sector at national level, working closely with key partners including the police, Home Office, business leaders and private security firms. Now, Sophie is known for being a tireless advocate of the sector and leads national efforts to raise the profile of BCRPs and bids, encouraging greater engagement and collaboration from all stakeholders to support safer business communities. So welcome, Sophie.
Thank you. Good morning, Paul.
Morning. Now, we've got a few acronyms in there and we shall come to those in a moment. But before we get going, talk to me about you and your background and the journey to the CEO of, and I'm going to say the full name for the last time, the National Association of Business Crime Partnerships.
Thank you. So I started my career in the civil service, actually, and I was a PA to some senior civil servants in the Department of the Treasury. And when I started a family, I was lucky enough to have a career break and not work for several years while my children were young. And I actually did work part-time 1 day a week on a Sunday in Holland and Barrett. So that was my first taste of retail. And during that time, we had the London riots and quite a few things were, triggering my mind about the whole retail work and aspect of working in retail and security. And around that time, I was then my kids were due to start school. So I was looking to get back into the workplace and I was looking for a job and saw an advert for in my local area, business crime manager, and it absolutely intrigued me. So I did some research, applied for the role, and that was 15 years ago. So I signed myself up for a life of crime, obviously on the right side of the law.
Amazing. And I've got to say then, so that's a really, civil service, a crime manager, which, like you say, for all the right reasons. So out of interest, young Sophie growing up, what was the dream job? Were you always there looking to help people, or was there some other calling on the horizon in your younger days?
I think I've always had this kind of philosophical, societal approach, and social work always intrigued me. I think I've always just wanted to make a difference.
Okay, well, you're certainly in the right place to help with that. Now, a few acronyms there when we went through your introduction. So first off, a business crime partnership, BCRPs. How would you describe them? What do they do? And how do retailers benefit from them?
Okay, so a business crime reduction partnership is a not-for-profit organisation with the purpose of uniting the local business community with the police and a vast array of other agencies for the purpose of preventing and deterring crime and disorder. And they do this through information sharing. And the unique aspect of it is it's live, real time, in the moment, stopping crime in its tracks, the community pulling together and working together to prevent crime. So there's a lot of confusion between what is a BCRP and what is a bid. So a BCRP is a business crime reduction partnership, and their full focus of their work is preventing crime and making a safe community. A bid is a business improvement district, and they represent a geographical area, and every business in that area will pay an additional levy to fund the bid, who then make it a more economically vibrant environment, with also the safe and secure strand, which may incorporate a full BCRP or other elements of safety work in the area. The main difference between these two models is the funding aspect. So BCRPs are funded by voluntary membership subscriptions by the businesses in that area who choose to be a member of the BCRP, whereas a bid, if your business is in that area, if you're paying a business levy, you will be paying into the bid.
I tell you what, I could have done with that explanation. So little point of interest. So I spent 12 years as an elected member on a district council, uh, group leader of one of the political parties for a couple of years, leading that, and we had all of these going on. And I'm not even sure when I'd got my political hat on for all that time, I fully understood the difference. I'm not sure many people there did. So really, really helpful. And then, am I right in thinking so? You know, there's a sort of a national accreditation standard for the BCRPs that do you put them through to make sure they sort of come up to scratch?
Absolutely. So it's called the BCRP National Standards Accreditation. And any BCRP or a bid who's running a BCRP can apply to go through the accreditation. NABCP are the assessing body, and police crime prevention initiatives are the accrediting body for that.
Mm.
So when a BCRP is accredited, they can use the secured by design branding alongside the accredited BCRP logo. So the accreditation is really important because a massive part of our mission is improving consistency and raising standards and demonstrating effectiveness. And the National Standards Accreditation absolutely does this. Because we're sharing data, we're asking the police to be sharing data with BCRPs, asking retailers and other businesses and other agencies. We need to assure you that your data is secure with us and it's being used properly, and the investment is also providing value for money. So the assessment is a really important part of the whole compliance piece and consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, in terms of, what the BCRP delivers, what sort of elevates them above, there's a few data sharing systems out there, shall we call them, but what would you sort of single out as being particularly unique?
So what's unique is that BCRPs represent all the businesses in the local area. So yes, the large retailers, also the smaller retailers, because it's affordable, they can become members. Um, Hospitality, any public facing business can be a member of the BCRP. And we ask those businesses to report incidents that are happening in the local area onto the intelligence sharing platform. And the BCRP manager will look at this intelligence, and it enables the BCRP to be the only organisation that has the entire overview of crime and antisocial behaviour in the local area. And through analysis of this information, we're able to highlight who the most persistent troublemakers are and make sure that we have targeted reporting to the police so action can be taken about the most kind of prolific individuals. The BCRP enables the identification of offenders at a much earlier stage than would be possible without this community approach. And because we're dealing with people in the community, they're often recognised by other members of the community or the local police force. So we're able to identify them much earlier. And we can deal with the lower level crime that's happening and ensuring that the most prolific are targeted. We encourage these to be reported, and most importantly, we're able to feed back to the community about the outcomes that have happened. So things like prison sentences, prison releases, criminal behaviour orders, bail conditions. And by notifying the community about these conditions, we're also able to identify breaches that are taking place. Because without the community being the eyes and ears, the breaches are you can't identify a breach. So that then helps the traction and helps the feedback loop, and it actually encourages everybody to be even more engaged and motivated in the scheme because they're actually seeing the results of it.
Yeah, and I guess, by engaging with everybody in the community, there's far more eyes and ears on the ground, isn't it? Reporting into the system, it just in itself becomes self-fulfilling.
Definitely. And the methods that we use for this, so most BCRPs provide a two-way radio network, and this radio network links in the local businesses, so staff working in shops, people working in pubs or restaurants. They'll have the radio there. The radio connects all the other businesses so they can all talk to each other in the local area, live, real-time information sharing. It also links in generally with the council's CCTV, so the local authority eyes in the skies that are observing the public area in the street. And in addition to that, on-duty local police officers also carry the radio. So it enables this deterring of crime. So making people aware of what's happening, that the CCTV can monitor, the police can go and intercept and intervene. In addition to this, they have the app as well. So as I described before, the intelligence sharing app. And these apps have an instant messaging function on them, a secure instant messaging. So if you combine a radio voice broadcast with an image on an instant messaging, we immediately know who we're looking for. And this is the safest, most simple way to deter crime, because you're forewarned, you've got the information. If that person then comes into your business premises, you can use your best customer service to prevent them from committing any further offences. And all this information that we gather in the background, we're building up profiles, identifying the most prolific people, and churning that back out to the businesses in the form of a really tangible briefing that's easy to understand and with photographs of the most prolific people, so the businesses know who to be aware of. And we do this through electronic briefings. So we know that shop staff often can't leave the shops. Time's very precious. So we bring the briefing to you so you can log on to the app, have a look at the briefing, and you know who to look out for that day. Also, we have in-person meetings and gathering all those partner agencies together. So in one room, you have the retailers, the pubs, the police officers are there, the local homeless charity, the drug and alcohol recovery service, the probation service. For example, everybody will all be in one room. So the BCRP effectively are the glue that's holding all of these agencies together and getting everybody speaking and opening it up for the business community, who are often of the victims of these crimes, to actually have a say and be involved. And then we go down the whole aspect of the whole lobbying arm as well. So, with the massive collective voice that we have representing the businesses, I never want anyone to say a BCRP is not working, because it's the role of the local businesses to be stepping in and driving it forward and asking those questions. Well, why isn't it working? Do we need a better relationship with the police? Do we need better infrastructure? And use that local voice to actually drive it forward in the direction that's needed for local needs. And that's the beauty of BCRPs, is that they're tailored for local needs.
And then an amazing overview and a never-ending list of things clearly to go after. But from the National Association, so from your perspective, clearly you're taking trends and lobbying with government, but is the goal really to bring all of this data together to keep the individual crime partnerships pointing in the same direction, or is it an even bigger remit than that?
So NABCP is an organisation. We do not share data. We represent the BCRPs on the ground who are independent, and they share data. So our role in all of this, we share best practice. So we're a direct resource to the business crime managers who are working on the ground. We can provide that direct support, that training, sharing best practice, letting them know what's happening around the country. We bring people together. We have regional groups. So each area across the UK is set up into a regional group, and once a quarter, all the BCRPs in that area get together with the local police forces in one room and have that kind of next level up kind of strategic meeting about what's going well, which retailers are engaging really well, who we need to work a bit better with, lessons learned, current crime trends, as it were, not individual specific details. So the regional groups, we also run our campfire chats once a month as well. So this is an online meeting on Teams for an hour. We have a guest speaker every month. The audience is the business crime managers across the UK, our members. And the idea is, it's the hot topics, the new legislation coming out, what we feel our crime managers need to be educated on. We had the Children's Society last month talking about child exploitation in hotels, for example. And there was, every month we do a different guest speaker educating the crime managers. We're also here to help them demonstrate effectiveness, to help them promote their BCRPs and their work, raising awareness of the fantastic work that they're doing. That's the kind of direct support that we provide to our members. But the other arm of our work is the national work. So it's constantly raising awareness, promoting BCRPs, encouraging investment in BCRPs, breaking down the barriers, and speaking, being that representative voice of BCRPs at national level as well.
And that again, vast remit in terms of what you do and what you deliver. I'm just interested, on a national level, is it engagement with the police that you see the most important, or is it into government elected members? Is it into civil service at the Home Office? So just an aside, I'm just wondering, are they all equal, or is the one where you think, okay, we need to get a little bit more traction? Where do you feel that you get the
I'd
most
like more
bang for the
traction
buck?
with the retailers, really. I think the
Okay.
national retailers, because at the end of the day, these are the guys who are funding the BCRPs. They're paying in. It's a very small, affordable amount per town and city. Um, but we have some absolutely massive supporters out there and big retailers who absolutely wholeheartedly support BCRPs and always subscribe to their membership. But there are some others that we could work a bit better with, improve data sharing, for example. So we're here to open up those conversations, break down the barriers, and improve that operation in both ways.
Whatever your retail challenge, Harrison Retail can handle it. Bespoke POS, loss prevention systems, single fixture or full store rollout, from design to delivery.
And if you were to say we could go to the next level of success, if you like, what's the if you could have Sophie waves her magic wand, what blocker would you like to take out of the road? Is it those retailers that aren't fully engaged that's going to make the big difference? Is it a change in legislation? You're in charge. It's a dictatorship for 24 hours. You get to decide what happens. What changes are you going to make?
Sustainable funding for BCRPs.
Okay.
We save so much money each year in terms of stock loss, in terms of preventing violence and abuse against staff, antisocial behaviour in the public area around your business. We save so much money, and we provide such a fantastic service. I would love to see proper funding for BCRPs to make them sustainable, enable them to deliver more, and work more effectively. So funding would be the first one, and that could come from more investment from business, and also government and local authority potentially funding as well, but probably government funding. Data sharing, absolutely would love to see better data sharing. It's quite a very confusing landscape at the moment for retailers. Completely understand that, and we do have to be very careful that we're doing it lawfully. But I'd like to reassure businesses that we take data sharing so seriously. We have the national standards accreditation. We have information sharing agreements. We have information sharing agreements with police forces, and police will share data with local BCRPs. They'll share photographs of offenders, their names, their addresses, their date of birth. All we're asking from retailers is an incident report and a photograph of that person who's no doubt committed a crime in your store. And it's definitely proportionate to be sharing that information and justifiable to be sharing that. So I'd like to see better sharing of information. Also, more reporting to the police, more targeted reporting. There are so many barriers with police reporting. Staff are finding the time to actually make that call through to the police and get that information through. And when it does get through, making sure it actually gets somewhere as well, because we have barriers such as CCTV not provided, or the person in the shop is unwilling to put their name to a crime report, or they say, oh, it's just part of my job. It's not part of your job. We do need to have these individuals reported. The other thing would be the Crown Prosecution Service. It's too slow, too lenient. There's all this time spent in preparing cases to get them to court, and they fail, or there's a ridiculously lenient sentence. I think that more effort should be spent in deterring offences and rehabilitation of offenders. So that would be my wish list, Paul.
Well, I tell you what, that's a manifesto that I think people up and down the country are probably going to vote for. So I think you're pushing against an open door. And in terms of that open door, and it's just my perception, I'm interested to know your thoughts. It feels as if, we've reached this point where retailers and police, and actually the general public, are happy for data to be shared. The crime has reached such a point that most people have had enough, that they're prepared for facial recognition, for data sharing, and they want police, retailers, government, the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service. There's a PR job needs to be done there, doesn't it, in terms of restoring faith. Do you feel as if all of the parties are coming together, maybe in a way we haven't seen before?
I absolutely do. I've been in this role for 15 years, and talking about shoplifting before, nobody was interested. Now we've had the Home Affairs Select Committee at the House of Lords doing an inquiry into shop theft. So many partners are coming around the table. We've got the Tackling Retail Crime Together strategy. I think there's definitely now is the right time. And my call to everybody is use everything that you can in this fight that we have against retail crime. We need to use everything that we have in our weaponry, the data sharing, BCRPs, facial recognition. We need to use it all, and we need to be engaging in it. We need the staff on the shop floor to be fully motivated and a key partner in this picture as well, because that is where the crime happens. It happens on the ground, and it needs to be stopped on the ground.
And I know as part of that sort of awareness, if you like, is the action weeks and awareness weeks that you run. I think we've got the Safer Business Action Week and your own BCRP Awareness Week. How important do you view those, and what's the purpose of them?
So with this Safer Business Action Week, which is the most recent week that we've just had from the 10th of November, the purpose of these weeks is getting out there, getting everybody rallying together, everybody working together, enhancing the communication from a BCRP perspective, making sure every staff member in the shops knows how to use the radio, they're trained, they can use it properly, they're confident to use the radio, they have access to the Intel sharing app, they're confident how to use that, they're motivated and engaged. And this is an uplift. It's a massive boost for our local areas because it's pulling that community together, getting everybody working effectively, observing, identifying, reporting, the collaboration. So that's where I see the real value in this. And that's actually demonstrated by the statistics that we've seen coming out of BCRPs in the months after. So it has a lasting effect. I always say with these Safer Business Action Weeks, it's not about arrests. It's about community. It's about putting everybody together and an uplift and a boost for the local area. We earlier this year, we had the first ever BCRP Awareness Week. And I think BCRPs have often kind of quite been taken for granted, and they're kind of unsung heroes of the crime prevention landscape because they've been operating for so long, and they're so effective in terms of value for money as well. So the BCRP Awareness Week was for 1 week only to shine a spotlight on the fantastic work that's going on every single day in every town and city across the UK that you just don't hear about. If you're a shop manager, yes, you might know, but if you're a little bit further up the chain, you're not hearing these good news stories that are coming out. So we set the challenge and we said to our members, right, BCRP National Awareness Week. And I thought, is it going to take off? And a couple of weeks before, I think it was Gloucestershire BCRP sent me a PDF that actually done a BCRP Awareness Week booklet to hand out to every single business within the Gloucester bid area. And when I saw that, I thought, yeah, this is going to take off. And it absolutely did. It went crazy over LinkedIn. It was so exciting seeing everybody's posts, what they were doing. And the feedback that I got from the BCRPs afterwards was, it's actually easier doing the Awareness Week than it is doing the Safer Business Action Week, because all we have to do is do what we do every day. Right. But just make a point of shouting about it. So we have the next date scheduled, and that's going to be the 16th of March 2026. So watch this space, watch out on LinkedIn and social media, because it'll be a big blast of BCRP activity.
Yeah, we love that. I have to make sure I hook into that one and share as well. So look, just going back to you and the association, is there an ultimate aim? Do you have a map of the UK with some missing pins on it where certain cities don't maybe have a BCRP operating fully? What when you sit down and plan your quarter, your 6 months, your year, what are the big targets?
So, well, for us, it's never about NABCP. It's always about our members. It's always about that effectiveness and compliance and really championing for our members. But I am delighted to say that actually during Safer Business Action Week, we hit the 100 members. And what we're finding more now is we're having more bids join our membership. And I think the time has really come for bids where they really need to be focusing a lot more of their effort on BCRP work and safe and secure work, because retailers are really asking bids what are you doing to keep your town centre safe? So I think a lot of our membership and a lot of the people that we're working with now are helping bids really set up and develop. So I think that the main things kind of going forward for us really, I suppose, is just working with everybody, going ahead, getting that data sharing aspect right, really lobbying. We want more funding for BCRPs, more sustainability, and just better data sharing frameworks, I think, going forward for the next year.
So as we head into this sort of, tail end of 2025 and into 2026, is that Sophie's wish list on there for next year? Is there a target to surpass the 100? Maybe something for you personally. What are we going to see?
It's difficult to say. I mean, we've actually now reached 104 members since then. So we are growing a lot, but I just really want to do a really good job, and I want to get my voice out there as much as possible, raise the profile of BCRPs, raise the work profile of what they're doing, hopefully expand NABCP a bit further, and I think that's it really.
Well,
I'm too modest.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to have to tease out what you're thinking behind the scenes. Maybe we'll get that. I certainly think we should look forward to seeing more of you in the retail risk world as well for next year, shouting about what you do. Thank you so much for giving me a run through of the association and the scale of what you do. Hats off in terms of coordinating. There's a term, herding cats, and I know everybody's pushing in the same direction, but sometimes they can be pushing in a slightly different direction. So I think you do a fantastic job with the accreditation, with the work that you do, with the growth of the BCRPs as well. So continue the good work. Thank you for giving me a run through of all of the acronyms. This is a very acronym heavy part of the industry, so thank you for that. But for now, Sophie, much appreciated and thank you.
Thank you, Paul.